created to have some fun together, sharing and singing. So, join and enjoy.
Our love for opera brings us together. Thanks for being with us in this trip.
My second edition of Norma in Rome, and he said, I want to remind you of something. This is Maestro Serafina. And he said, you have an instrument. You study all the time. It's a violoncello, shall we say, eh? Now forget that you're really singing and just play. Play your phrases, legato, let yourself go. Forget that there are difficult phrases, this and that. Just have fun. Forget that you've studied at home. This is what I want you to do. Because this is the most beautiful piece of music. And really, now forget what you've studied, just feel your words. Feel the where it says grandioso. Let yourself out. Always controlling yourself, of course. But there's plenty. I wouldn't be afraid if I were you.
See, with excitement comes very
Very good. That's good. That means life. If you're excited, thank heavens. That's what I'm looking for. Life. You've got to breathe life in these things because they were born with life.
And so we are opening, or we're having our third episode of this series, this season 9, that we are talking about all this music, all this beautiful music that was born with life. And we are having a very special episode today because we are addressing maybe one of the most known songs of the US, of the American repertoire. Because also we need to refer to also one of the most known singers, well-known singers born in America. Of course, we are referring to Frank Sinatra, who had a good number of songs that were very famous worldwide and that we continue to listen. And of course, that means that there are many singers, many opera singers who have wanted to take some of his songs to the stage now with the resources of an opera singer, and that's what we are going to be reviewing today. We are having My Way, which also has been translated into several languages. In Spanish it is called A Mi Manera. In French there is also a version in French that says Comme d'habitude. Not really, not really proud of the name of it in French. It really doesn't make sense. Comme d'habitude is my way, but it doesn't matter. So let's get to it. So Rafa, how are you? How are you doing today? How do you feel about us talking about one of your greatest favorites of all times?
Thank you so much for your invitation. I'm feeling so great. Thank you so much for your for this room, for this talking, and let's work.
Let's get to it. So I really thought a lot about what could be the best way to start talking about this song. And the truth is that I really didn't find the best way. But let me share with you what were my first thoughts. What kind of song is this? Is this a song of sadness because the life is about to finish, because you know that you're reaching the end of your path, but it can be sadness because the words, as we are going to review, the words are, still in a way the I suffered, it happened, but I was sure of what I was doing. So not really sadness, of course, not really excitement, because nobody who knows that his days are ending can be really that happy. I mean, you can feel accomplished. So this very difficult, because it's very difficult way to describe the emotions of what is coming is, from my perspective, one of the most difficult things, because your voice needs to project that type of emotion. And as we have explained in other seasons, when there is too much emotion, when there is too much, it sounds exaggerated. And of course, Frank Sinatra does not sound exaggerated anywhere in this song. He really knew what and how to do it in every part of the song. But what are your thoughts on the emotion of this song? What comes to your mind? How do you think you have to tune yourself in order to sing it properly?
Well, my point of view is that when you are interpreting this masterpiece, you need to be in the role as a melancholism. You need have to be in the role of a kind of this kind of feeling of triumph of the life, because at the end it's a triumph of the life anthem. Since this masterpiece has come in the world, in the musician world, it's a very exciting and emotional masterpiece, because at the end, as you know, the beginning of the piece starts very smoothly, very slow, and then grow up and grow and grow and grow, and then exploded. And this explosion, let's say, this explosion becomes, as I said, a triumph of your life, or your past, of your, the things all you did in your life at the end. So that's my point of view when you are an interpreter for this kind of pieces, or precisely in this piece, is you need to be very deep into the role of this kind of feelings. That's my point of view in this way.
You're right to mention that we are also going to mention it. It starts more quiet, more reserved, but
Mhm.
it builds and builds and builds and builds. So you also have to be very smart in how to dosify the right amount of emotion, because if you put too much emotion before the peak, by the time you reach the peak, you will be exhausted, your throat will be tired, and things are not going to work. If you let the emotion carry out completely from the beginning, by the time you reach the most vocally higher notes and more demanding parts, you will also be already so drained that it will be difficult to carry with the inertia of the emotion. So I really think that you need to be smart in, let's say, let's try to put these two factors together. When you're singing, you have to use your resources, and your resources, if we put them only in two categories, are your emotion, because you always put your emotion into the interpretation, and
Mhm.
you also have to use the rational part to know what to do and how to do it, because if you only let yourself be carried away, it's going to be a disaster. Moreover, for a song like this that everybody knows, because everybody has heard it some so at some point in their lives, this is one of the, for sure, one of the songs that you have ever heard. And then you have the listener has an expectation of what is it that you are going to do. So forget about if you have a problem with the pitch or with anything, because whatever happens, people are going to realize. And so, knowing that it's going to evolve, that you're going to use your rational part to know what to do and when to do it, as well as emotion, too much emotion, you will be that by the end of, by the middle of the song. But also, when you have to sing at the beginning in particular, like more in control, at least because it is not an explosion yet, when you have to start, because it starts very quiet, and now the end is, but that expression has to be like precise. You can say it like, and now, because if you say, and now the end is near, like not even caring for the beginning, you're throwing everything away. So, if I have to confess, I personally detest these songs where you have to to start being this perfect, this precise, because it's like one opportunity. You
Mhm.
have to open correctly. You
Mhm.
don't open correctly, it's going to be very difficult to take the control later,
Mhm.
right? So in your mind, it has to be very precise how my opening phrase is going to
Yeah,
be.
yeah.
And now, too much chest. And now, not too much chest. And now, not too light. You see, you exercise many times in your mind how because you have to convey the end is near, and so I face the final curtain. You see, it's like a I wouldn't say dubitative voice because we go again to the. It's difficult to express this is what you say the triumphalism because you achieve something in your life and at the same time is nostalgia. So to put that into the voice, it's much easier to describe than it is easy to do.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So do you have any? I'm not sure if I would call it trick, or do you have something that you personally like to do when you have to sing this kind of music? I mean, you prepare yourself like doing something emotionally speaking, or how do you work for a piece like this one?
Well, in my previous, let's say, bands or in my previous musical jobs, let's say, I performed this this piece a lot of times. You are right when you are talking to. You need to be very careful on that since the very beginning. I would say that I don't have any, like say, trick or something like this. I will say that you just be aware that this song will demand you um, a range, a big range, because at the end, you know that in the beginning you're going to start very in a very low voice, yes, but as well in a in a low speech, because you're going to start and now da-dee-da-dee. But furthermore in the progress in the song, you're going to be la di da 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 di da da, and then once again la di da 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 di da da, and once again la di da 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 di da da, and once again la di da da. So the range is since the beginning versus that you were singing at the end is a range quite let's say in a, quite big at the end. So you need to be very prepared in a way with your throat very clean, with not coughing in a way. Okay, so at the end, if you are prepared with the emotions, with the technical voice, with your position, your voice in the diaphragm and that kind of stuff, that if you already use a good technique for the singer, you're going to be in a good shape. But you need to consider all these kind of things. You cannot sing this song if you like maybe like singing the Jailhouse Rock, for example.
Let me make a pause there because there is something that I really think it's worth mentioning. Uh, in a way, because this song that Frank Sinatra made very famous is of the 60s, the 1960s, is where this and other songs reached their peaks. But keep in mind that for those years, Elvis Presley was already a star. I mean, in a way, the style of Frank Sinatra is like old school because those days were already rock and roll, and dancing and the youth, the adolescents, and everybody knows what after the 50s happens with rock and roll. But then there comes this man in a very classical look, in a way with song that could be told to be old style and breaks it. because we have to understand. So at the same time, it's like there were two worlds co-living. In one hand, you have Frank Sinatra and his very classical themes, classical orchestration, classical style of music, and then you have all this modernity with the rock and roll and singing about, rock and roll sings pretty much about anything. And people are having fun, and the way passion is seen in the ballads of rock and roll is very different to what Frank Sinatra was doing, and still he made his way into that. It's like like rescuing or like watching an old soul. Respectfully speaking, he was like an old soul bringing all this passion, all this romanticism, all this tenderness in the middle of the chaos that was rock and roll. Because after that rock and roll, they came the Beatles, and then you had the Rolling Stones, and so many things happened. But still, in the middle of that, you had Frank Sinatra, and that is really worth to be considered, because if you said, okay, this is music from the 1930s, 35, you could say he was in the middle. I mean, the small bands, the small orchestras that play that popular music, that was the hit of those were the days. But he came, if you allow me the expression, a little late for those years, and still he built a name and he built a way of doing things. But well, that was something that I also wanted to mention. So with that being said, and with that example that Rafa generously shared with us on how and how it starts to build and then build and then build. Of course, there is a moment in time when the singer says, "Oh my God, my voice is going to break somewhere." Because I have also explained many times that in many occasions, the problem is not the high note per se. Think of Nessun Dorma. I am not saying that the Si Naturale is Nessun Dorma is easy, because it's not easy. But the problem is not Vincero. It's not. The problem is the complete part before the Si Natural. It's because the tenor is ta 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 ta. He's so high, hitting and hitting and hitting and hitting continuously, that by the time you reach the Si Natural, the tenor is very tired. Fortunately for people singing my way, you don't have a top high note like in Nessun Dorma, but you have the same type of exercise. You keep climbing on the sound and sustaining the sound, because you are da, 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 and it is a continuous flow of voice that of course makes you feel tired. And if you hesitate for the seconds, the voice is going to crack. For sure. You change anything in the middle of those, and your voice is going to crack. And nobody wants to have his voice cracked when people are, by that moment, people are so excited about the song and looking at the singer perform it, that if you crack the voice,
that would be a mess.
This is something you don't want to leave on a stage, right? Even though it happens, of course, you don't want people to watch you fail that miserably on a stage, right? But well, you know that for this program we have examples that we want to share with you, and this is what we are going to do now. We are going to play the first example, and we have a Korean baritone that we all would like to listen to. Of course, we are going to make our comments, but let's get started with the first example. And the Korean baritone, I don't speak Korean, of course, but the name is Seo Jeong-hak. Forgive me if that is not correctly pronounced, but let's listen to his version of My Way. There it is. It is loading. It's taking a little to play, but hopefully it will not be that long. It's taking long. It is supposed to be ready. The materials were already uploaded on the platform. There it is. Let's listen to this Korean baritone. Well, there's a lot to say about. Well, maybe the first thing and very obvious is that his English is close to impossible to understand. I guess that could be how my Korean would sound. So his English is not very good. We have mentioned a number of times that, of course, we all are from a given country and we have our own mother tongue. So we are not expected to be 100% proficient in other languages. But man, if you're going to do it professionally, you should invest more of your time and effort in making it more comprehensible. So I understand he comes from Korea. I understand his language is completely different to English. I understand, but I also understand that man, you have to work harder because at some point it is more like like vocalizations like what we were doing. Da, 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 da. Because if you try to understand what he's saying, eventually I ate it up. I think he pronounced it well. And my way, I did it. The other things, it's just like a black box where you really don't understand. Apart from that, I think his voice is his voice per se, the baritone voice, it's a very good quality of voice, very masculine voice, very nice resonance. I liked in general the sound of his voice, but before I go any further, let's listen to the comments of Rafa that I think he's not that satisfied with the rest that we could hear. So, what are your thoughts?
Yes, as you said, on the very first sight, the English comes to me kind of gray in the during the whole piece. Let's say, I need to be honest that his voice has a very high quality. It's a great voice. Even you can notice when in the beginning of the video he starts talking. When you hear his tone, his color, and you expect that it's going to be a high quality of voice, and in fact it is. That's the point. That's the good points, let's say, in a way. And the instrumentation of the orchestra is a great orchestra from my point of view. At the end, we all know this song. There are no, let's say, surprises in the arrangements. It's great. I think it's the orchestra is very built with voice. It's high quality at the end. Very nice orchestra and instrumentation. But what I don't like, sorry for the Korean people that maybe have seen us, I don't. How can I say? I think that this kind of songs that are demanding a high speech during the master, during the piece, or during the song. I don't like that it fits quite good a bass voice or a baritone voice. It sounds kind of, let's say, kind of maybe we would say
Like forced?
aggressive, like an aggressive, like a voice, like it's not comfortable to your ears, because at the end you are talking about the melancholism, you are talking about emotional picture when you are singing that. You are talking about in a trump of, as I said, in a trump of your life during the past, and you want to you are screaming loud, in a way, and that screaming has to be kind of noisy in a way, okay? And you cannot do that with a voice which is baritone or bass, because at the end it is very gruesa. I don't know how to say in English. Is
Yeah, very thick.
yes, very thick. So I'm not fan of that kind of voice for this kind of songs. His interpretation is fine. I will say that just fine. Not too much as not quite as good, not quite as wrong. I cannot distinguish important, let's say, variations or waves in his interpretation. Maybe because at the end, the whole or the most of the time of the interpretation is very thick. Is too low the speech. At the end is not so convinced to me, let's say, in a way. You need to be, as we talked in the very beginning, we need to know what we are gonna do when we are performing a song. You can have a very great voice, or a very high quality voice, for tenor or for baritone or for a bass. But if some song does not match or does not fit to your tessiture, I don't know how
Tesitura, huh?
tessitura, please don't do that. Just don't do that, because you're going to be totally out of the scheme of the performance. That's my point of view.
Yeah, and that's what you're describing is exactly what happens. And with Katya in other seasons, we have mentioned a good number of times. Because what happens to certain voices, and it is exactly what you said. Let's say this is the width or the thickness of the voice. When you reach your peak, it's still that thick. So instead of sounding delicate, it sounds like like too much.
Yes.
And by the end of the song, you notice, because he knows that he has this torrent of voice,
Mhm.
that he even goes higher in the note, which, by the way, for me, it's an error, because it's like horses running wild, and what you do instead of controlling those horses is that you push them harder. So instead of da, la, 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 it's like you turn the song into an opera, an aria from an opera, because that's what you turn the song into, and that's not the style of the song. But the last 40 seconds of the song are not really my way. It's just a way of. I think that he agreed with the orchestra director and said, "Man, at the end you let me do my thing. I'm going to do what I like to do, and we are going to wrap it up that way." But as also we have mentioned a number of times, there are songs where you can display your superpower. I mean, you're a baritone and maybe you sing Rigoletto or a Monastro or something else in the opera. That's your place where you are going to show all that tremendous power and energy. But in a song like this, don't do that, because you're spoiling the song. Because my way, it's not that. Da, 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 la, 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 la. It's not that. It's not that. It's completely out of place. So I think, putting aside the problem of the language, in general, I think he does a good effort in trying for the song, but the last 40 seconds are a complete disaster. I really don't like where he's going. I think he could have proven us he could be a much more delicate and elegant singer. If he had wrapped up elegantly, more control, I would have said, man, that's an artist. Because
Mhm.
what said is, yeah, that's a voice. Yeah, a
Exactly.
powerful voice, but I wanted to listen to an artist. And that's
Yeah.
what I really didn't get there.
Mhm.
Anything else that you would like to add to the interpretation of this
No,
baritone?
just to tell him that to tell you that I think is not a song for, let's say, for a kind of opera's voices. I think it's not matching so well.
Yeah,
Even even Pavarotti maybe will know that quite good.
Well,
There's a version from Pavarotti as
I
well.
know, yeah, with the three tenors.
It's not bad, but you
It's
say
not bad. It's horrible.
I don't know. Maybe I don't call it horrible, but I'm not comfortable. It's not that kind of song that has to be sing like it is in an opera way. It's totally out of the scope.
And because I recall the three singers, Domingo, Pavarotti, and Carreras, and I have very clear in my mind, it is mine, and the three voices at the
No, no, no,
unison.
fatality.
Yeah, I think I don't think I'm not sure when Frank Sinatra passed away, but I think he had already passed away by the time the tenors sang that in the Caracalla because
I don't
no,
think so. Maybe he was alive, still alive.
I don't think he would have.
Maybe that's the reason he died.
He said, what are you doing to my song? We cannot be living in
Yeah,
the same world with that happening. But it
yeah,
is true that it's difficult for an opera voice to handle something this delicate,
yeah.
which is going to be a surprise for us because we are ready to listen to the second version. In this case, we have a Colombian tenor, a tenor from Colombia. By the way, Colombia has many beautiful voices. Tenor is Gabriel Angel Ruiz, and we are going to listen to his rendition of My Way. There it goes. Yeah. And so that was Colombian tenor Gabriel Angel Ruiz. Same case as before, I would like to start by saying he has a very beautiful voice. The sound of his voice is very warm, like very honest sounds. A beautiful voice. As I was just saying, we were saying just before playing his recording, Colombia has many very beautiful voices. You can witness the quality of his voice. But let's get now room for Rafa to share his thoughts on this version. Now, a tenor. What are your thoughts?
Yeah. Now you can see the difference. It's a big, big difference. This guy uh, has a great starter. Since the beginning, his voice is very soft, is very handling. His dosification when he's building the song is great. He has a very great loud speeches. They are completely understandable. His breath is completely clear. You cannot hear any kind of exhausting in there. It's a very interesting type of voice because he knows, as we talked in the very beginning of the video, he has this dual voice in which he can sing as a balladist, let's say as a big band singer, and when the song grows up, starts to this transportation, let's say, or to become in an operistic, very handling and great voice. Is not louder, it's comfortable, it's with a very high quality, it's clear. Maybe I will say that in some peaks, kind of metallic, and his interpretation is very, very well. The end is very interesting because he has, in a way, he has to perform two different ends. the pre-final in which he starts a mi manera. That's great. That's great. He's is a preface which comes the very final ending of the song, but in the very final he respects the original song a mi manera and falls down, but without any exciting or without any louding. That I really like of him. And at the end, the instrumentation quite good, quite good. I will say nothing about the instrumentation. I think it was fine, and I will say this it's a great interpretation.
I think what I was convinced when I watched this version as we were working on this program, and I saw this guy, I said, we really need to talk about this guy because he does exactly what the baritone didn't do, which is study and understand the song.
Mm-hmm.
Because you mentioned it, he nails. He says, "I am going to build the song this way. My voice at the beginning will be more natural, spoken like balladist, as you said. At the end, since I have to go high in the register, I need to go to my operatic sound of the voice, but still in control. He
Mm-hmm.
doesn't sound like Nessun Dorma. He controls his voice. He grows carefully and sounds
Mm-hmm.
nice how he transitions into that region or the transmission of his voice. Um, Speaking of the dynamics of the song, after the first repetition of the two verses, when you have reached your high part, and then you go back to control. Da, 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 da. It is really difficult. If you have not tried it yourself, try to go high, la, 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 go like that, and then for a small amount of time, go back to la, 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 because it really requires not only a change in the position of the voice, but also a complete control in the emotion. And he does it very well. That is something that I also like. He knew what to do in each of the parts of the song, and
Mm-hmm.
he knew how to do it. I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed listening to this tenor. I really felt like listening to more songs of this man. I'm not sure how he performs in the opera, but at least for this repertory, I'm sure that I would like to listen to more of what he can do. I really like it when I watch an artist this committed because you can see he's committed to what he's doing.
Yeah, he knows the song. He was in the role. I mean, he got everything to do that, and it
And it is
wasn't so difficult for him.
And opposite to what the baritone did, that he went a little far from where his comfort zone is, this man said, "My voice is good. I can work on this song and make it mine," and he did it. So
Yeah.
I really feel very very nice about it. We're about to listen to our third version today. We're going to have another voice from Colombia. This time it's going to be a soprano. But before we get there, you're going to notice a difference because we have heard in the two previous ones orchestra arrangements. This time we're going to listen mainly to the accompaniment of a piano, which I also think it works for this kind of music. It's like I always daydream of like you in a small place, maybe a small intimate bar,
Hmm.
nice, elegant, maybe drinks here, you with people you love, maybe your beloved wife or maybe your friends, and watching someone playing blues or jazz. I like that kind of environment, and I think that's what brings me to the that's the place where it brings me the version of this soprano, and we are ready to listen to hers. Her name is Delcy Janet Estrada. You're going to listen to the quality of what she does.
Porque
And so this was the version of the Colombian soprano Delcy Janet Estrada. Also a very beautiful voice, a very sweet female voice. I have to confess that I was very concerned because we know, and if you're listening to us and you're a soprano, you know that what we have explained before, this continuous emission of the voice is particularly difficult for the sopranos. So I really thought, how is this lady going to resolve something that is very difficult for a male voice? She has to work something in her mind
Mhm.
because if she just goes for it without previously studying how she's going to attack it, she's going to have her voice cracked, or I don't know. Many ideas came to my mind saying this woman played with fire when she
Mhm.
decided to go for this song. And I think she did a fair job. There are a couple of things that I'm not so sure about. I'm going to be making comments on it. But what about you, Rafa? What are your thoughts on this version?
My point of view, it's a great voice. I really like that. I really like that. It's a very natural voice. It's very sweet, as you said. It's soft. Her beginning in the ver- in the song is great. Her growing during the song is great. Even she has very good low speeches. She managed very great low speeches. At the end, her voice is not a louder soprano voice. We know that it's a soprano, yes, because her tesitura and her speech are higher, yes, but those speeches are higher but in a soft way. They are not so high as a soprano, like you know. She has a very organic, let's say, a very great organic high speeches. We can see that, as you said, it was precisely what I'm going to say. You can see that she is not comfortable with that kind of songs when the high speeches demands a lot of lungs, and normally when you as a performer are expecting, or as a public in this case, you are expecting that the voice explode, gets an explosion. She gets to into the note, yes. She didn't has any kind of explosion in her voice, but at the end it's comfortable to hear that. Is very, how can I say, is you can say you did it. You did it because you had it. You get that precise note that it has to be demanded in the song, that is demanded in the song. Not, it was no hesitation in there. um, I think that has a very she was very smart, let's say, in a way. She was very smart to solve her issue, because she knows that it's going to be difficult to have to solve this issue in a way. That's quite good, success in her performance. I think the piano makes a very great dual performance between them. The piano, the guy of the piano, he is playing great as well. The arrangements of the piano, those are great as well. And as you can see, as well, for her is quite good. Is a very high quality. You can see when she is she changes. She turns to a soprano, let's say, in a way, when she was in the past in a once again in a ballad singer way. I don't know if that's clear for you, but my point of view, she's great in handling her voice. She knows her voice perfectly. She has very good technique, and for my point of view, it's a great performing. It's a great version from My Way, and I didn't expect that for a soprano in a way, because you normally when you said My Way, you are thinking in a man performing with a man, because normally is performing by a man, and is not so common to have a lady in that level. I mean, okay.
Yeah, and I think she is a very good example of what we have explained also in the past, that you don't need to have the super powerful, greatest, highest notes in the world. You don't, because opera singers say, "Oh, if I have to sing a G, I'm going to keep the G for 8 seconds so that people realize that I have a G of 8 seconds." No, for instance, or I can sing the la. I am going to sustain the la and give it very, very, very loud so that people is surprised. You don't need to do that. But even if you have it, the most important is that you do what you can do with your resources. And
That
that's what is more relevant with this lady. She has
that
because you could say she has a beautiful voice, period. But no, she has a very beautiful voice, and she has the intelligence to know what to do with it. She also studied. I'm pretty clear that she studied this song note by note, syllable by syllable,
Mhm.
because she makes many nuances. She knows where to take out voice, where to put a little more, where to play with a sound, where to take out part of a sound. She really did a I don't know how many hours she invested in studying it, but I'm
Mhm.
sure it was a good amount of hours,
Mhm.
because you can see it is not only the female version of My Way, it is her version.
Version, yes.
What she can do with her voice and her resources to
Mhm.
sing something that is naturally difficult for a female voice. So I'm really surprised. I'm very positively surprised to see the quality of the rendition of what she can do with this song. Um, but I think it's time for us to vote on the versions of today. We need to do it. I know what you're going to answer, but for our Korean baritone first version, heads up, thumbs up or thumbs down?
Mm, I will say this or down. You don't like me too much.
Not so positively surprised. Neither, as much as I loved his voice, I could have my life without his version of My Way, unfortunately.
Yeah, the
So,
version is no good. The version, his voice is great. Yes, I agree with you, but it's not here. It's not his topic in here. Is
yeah.
doesn't fit.
Yeah, so let's go now for our Colombian tenor. Thumbs up or thumbs down?
Yes,
Yeah,
yes,
absolutely.
yeah.
Great, beautiful voice. And our Colombian soprano, thumbs up, thumbs down, double thumbs up. Okay, I agree. She really nailed it. I really enjoyed listening to both Colombian singers, the tenor and the soprano. And well, that would be pretty much for today's program. Rafa, thank you very much for sharing with us
Thank
this
you, guys. Thank
time.
you, Rich. Yeah.
This is a tremendous song, such a beautiful song. And well, I will be seeing you all in a month. Thank you very much. Take care.
Bye bye.
You can follow our channel for the latest updates and more content. Opera will love singing, in just one word. Link in the description of the episode.